Welcome back to our class. Today we are discussing about the chapter 3 biology for class 10 students. First part of this chapter already discussed. Now let's move on to the next part. All of you were now aware about what is a hormone, from where it produced. Today we are discussing about the hormones produced by a gland named pancreas. Haven't you ever heard about the gland pancreas? In your lower classes, you were learned about the digestion of food in our body, how it takes place. The gland named pancreas also play an important role in the activity or the digestion of food molecules, and it break down into smaller molecules called glucose. You have learned that glucose molecules formed as a result of digestion get absorbed into the blood. These glucose molecules produce energy when they reach to the cells. Who help our cells to produce energy? The gland called pancreas help the cells to produce energy. We can study in detail how the pancreas hormone works in our body. This is the picture of pancreas which is given in your textbook. First picture shows how the pancreas looks like, and the second picture with an arrow mark showing the enlarged portion of the pancreas, having different types of cells present in it. The cell which is seen as red in color is alpha cells and violet color beta cells. Now you got an idea that the pancreas containing two types of cells, alpha cells and beta cells, isn't it? We can check it in detail. Pancreas is a gland that is connected to the duodenum, that is the continuation of the stomach. The pancreas is located. The pancreas is the gland that is connected to the duodenum, the continuation of the stomach. And there is a cell cluster and is called islets of Langerhans. And these islets of Langerhans have two different types of cells, the alpha cells and beta cells. What we said? In pancreas, there is a cell cluster and it contains two types of cells called alpha cells and beta cells, and the cell cluster is called islets of Langerhans. The two types of cells present in the islets of Langerhans produce two different types of hormones. The alpha cells produce glucagon and the beta cells produce insulin hormone respectively. Thus we know the pancreas produces two types of hormones named insulin and glucagon. Next we need to know how the insulin hormone and glucagon hormone works in our body, or how they act in our body. Insulin is the hormone which converts glucose into glycogen, where it happens in the liver and muscles. That is, in the liver and muscles, the insulin hormone converts glucose into glycogen. Cellular uptake of glucose is also carried out by insulin. If glucose molecules were taken up by insulin hormones, there only it can convert the glucose into glycogen in liver and muscles. Then what the next hormone, that means the glucagon, do? It works in opposite action that of insulin. That means it converts the glycogen stored in the liver to glucose. That is, glucagon converts the glycogen stored in liver to glucose. Also, it synthesizes glucose from amino acids. In other words, we can say insulin and glucagon work in what's called a negative feedback loop. That is, one triggers another, which triggers another, and so on, to keep your sugar level in balanced. It is shown in your textbook as a diagrammatic representation, that is insulin with the two arrow mark. First one, the cellular uptake of glucose molecules, and the second function of insulin is to convert glucose into glycogen in the liver and muscles. Glucagon, what they do? It converts glycogen stored in the liver to glucose, synthesizes glucose from amino acids. From this, you must understand that the balanced action of the insulin and glucagon helps in our body to maintain a balanced state of glucose in our blood. The normal level of glucose in blood is 70 to 110 mg per 100 ml. That is, Upon 100 ml of blood taken, 70 to 110 milligram of glucose must be seen. We said before that the level of this glucose in the blood is maintained by the combined action of insulin and glucagon. It is clearly illustrated in your textbook that shows how the combined action of insulin and glucagon going on. Look onto this picture in the middle. It shows that level of the glucose in the blood is 70 into 110 milligram per 100 ml. If the level of glucose in your blood higher than 70 to 100, that is the normal range, what happens? The production of glucagon decreases, because if the glucagon is working, there will be the production of glucose occurs. So it must be triggered and the hormone insulin back in action. That is, insulin helps to reduce the glucose level in the blood by converting the glucose, that is extra glucose, to convert to glycogen. Now we can examine the second case, that is the level of the glucose in the blood is lower than the normal range, that is 70 to 110 milligram per 100 ml. What happens? We know if the level of glucose decreases, there must be a normal range should be occur. So if the insulin is working, there is no chance to increase the level of blood glucose. Insulin's action get triggered and glucagon going into act. That is, the decreased level of glucose is get normalized by the action of glucagon. That is, it produces more amount of glucose from the stored glycogen. Do you understand? I repeat once more. If there is a rise in blood glucose level than the normal range, the production of insulin is increased. Then only the increased concentration of the glucose level in the blood decreased. At that time, the production of glucagon get decreased, because if the glucagon is working in action with the insulin, there is no chance of decreasing the level of the glucose in the blood. Because what is the function of glucagon? Glucagon produces more amount of glucose from glycogen. So glucagon's action gets triggered and insulin is produced more. Now the second case, what is that? The level of the glucose in blood when lower than the normal range. What will occur? The production of glucagon increases. Then only the increased level of glucose in the blood occurs to maintain the normal level of blood glucose. At that time, the production of insulin get decreased. Why the production of insulin get decreased? If the insulin production also increases, there is no chance of increasing the glucose level in the blood. Why? Because insulin reduces the extra level of glucose in the blood. So at this time, the production of insulin get decreased and production of glucagon get increased. Hope you all could understand what we studied it. Moving on to the next part. What is that? When insulin fails, what happens? Do you ever think this condition? Oh, how does the deficiency of insulin or the inability of the cells to use insulin affect the body? In some persons, the beta cells of the pancreas having the inability of the cells to utilize the insulin produced, or some destructions in the pancreas causes a decreased production of insulin. It causes the inability of the cells to utilize the insulin produced, and also it raises the level of the glucose in blood. The excess glucose in the blood is expelled through urine. How the excess glucose expelled? It is expelled through urine. This state is called diabetes. And the diabetes clinically referred to as a condition. It is a condition when the level of glucose before breakfast is above 126 milligram per 100 ml. The major symptoms of diabetes are the increased appetite and thirst and frequent urination. November 14 is observed as World Diabetes Day every year. World Health Organization WHO and International Diabetic Federation jointly observes November 14 as World Diabetes Day every year. World Diabetes Day logo is given here. It is blue circle. That is, blue circle is the logo of November 14 or World Diabetes Day. When we examine about the diabetes, there are two types of diabetes. They are type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is caused mainly because of the defective production of insulin. That is, there is no production of insulin occurs. Why it happens? That is, the reason for this is the destruction of pancreatic beta cells by T lymphocytes. Lymphocytes is a kind of white blood cells which distracts the beta cells of the pancreas. The treatment of type 1 diabetes is that to provide insulin in proper quantity. The second type is type 2 diabetes. It is the inability of the target cells to make use of insulin. We studied in the beginning of this chapter that the target cells and the hormones, each hormone having specific target cells, they should react. And in this case, type 2 diabetes is the inability of the target cells to make use of insulin. What is the cause to occur type 2 diabetes? It is saying that obesity and gene defects are the reasons for this disease. We can control type 2 diabetes by proper exercise, control of food, and use of medicines if necessary. You can also check the presence of sugar or glucose in your urine sample by using Benedict solution. It is a solution used to analyze the percentage or the amount of glucose present in the urine. The experiment is like that. Take 2 ml of the sample, that is here we use urine sample in the test tube and add 2 ml of Benedict solution into it. You should heat this mixture for 2 minutes and observe the change in color. The color of the solution not changed when there is no glucose in the sample, and there must be change in color according to the percentage of the glucose present in it. Here 4 samples were taken in 4 different test tubes. First one is blue in color, second one is light green, third one is yellow, and the fourth one is orange in color. What they said? In the first sample, there should not contain any glucose, and in the last test tube, the percentage of glucose is very more. That's all for today. Thank you for seeing this video. If you like this, please share with your friends. See you with another video.